Mr. Armín García has the floor.
So my work is I develop clean energy power plants, very specifically here in the Central Valley. And along with multiple cities, Felipe being the first one, but in addition to that, all of the city leadership here, our focus on here is how do we lower energy prices. We've got a system in place that will work.
So what kind of projects are you working on?
Building out solar power plants,
Big solar.
precisely. Clean solar, clean energy.
You know, I've spent decades on this.
Agreed. My question to you is this. Given the existing political system that is in place, what is your strategy for lowering the energy prices?
So it's twofold. So let's be specific. First of all, I will change the PUC, and I will look. The way that the system works now with PG&E, they're incented. They get a percentage return off every capital expenditure.
Yeah.
So they just make the biggest capital expenditures they can think of. You know, sort of like, okay, we can build $100 million plant, or guess what? And that would get us a $10 million return because they make approximately 10%. Or we could do a $200 million plant and we get $20 million. What do you guys think we should do? Let's do the $200 million plant. What the hell? So they have really perverse incentives to do the wrong thing. So the number one thing is we're going to change the PUC and change our incentives. But also, if you look around this state, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, look, per kilowatt hour, solar can produce electricity about 2 cents a kilowatt hour. 2 cents. The batteries are getting, the cost of battery storage has gone down 80% in the last decade. It's going to go down another 80% this decade. It went down, I think, 24%. So we can actually do solar, huge solar, plus storage at like 5 cents a kilowatt hour. They're charging 35 to 40 cents a kilowatt hour. That's for the wires and the poles. That is the ripoff. And so what I'm saying is, let's also make it legal for people to compete locally, rent their wires and poles for a fair price, and we'll drop these costs and they'll have to compete with that. And so, look, just to talk about if you guys are trying to use electricity to move water in irrigation, huge cost for farmers. Everybody needs to irrigate. Everybody needs to move the water. People in the Central Valley of California pay 3 times as much for that electricity for irrigation as people in Texas. They do not have monopolies there. They have competitive systems. People talk to me as if I'm a communist for taking on PG&E and wanting to allow people to compete. I'm not a communist. Communism is when you have a monopoly and it's like take it or leave it, buddy. I want to introduce local competition so we can drive down costs. We can generate and store energy so cheaply, and the costs are only going to go down. I was literally on a panel with the head of PG&E last October, I think, and she says in the panel, we're gonna use these data centers to drop down costs for consumers. And my wife is sitting there, and I walk off the thing, and we have, it's just the two of us on the stage. I'm being pretty polite. Kat goes, she's implying for an increase in rates right now, Tom. It's like, no. She just said on stage, we're dropping rates. So look, that's what the 2 things I'm going to do are local competition, change the PUC, and change the incentives from the PUC. And if we can't drop, everyone says 25% drop in electric rates. That's very ambitious. I'm like, we're still paying 50% more than the rest of the country, for God's sakes. Does the sun not shine in the Central Valley? Did I miss that? Give me a break, man.
If this society is getting smaller or dumber.